What's it like studying at university after the age of 40? How do I manage family life, work, studies and hobbies on the side? That's what I will discuss in today's video. Welcome to my channel. I'm Sara Fee, soon 44 years old and mama to an almost 4-year-old child. I'm a university student studying to become a preschool teacher. I work as a preschool nanny on the side, and I'm an artist at night after my son has gone to bed. I moved with my little family to northern Sweden from Stockholm 3 years ago, and I had to let go of my old job in digital advertising because of the move. I honestly thought it would be easy to find another job up here, but I only got some temporary jobs and I didn't know what to do. When I started working as a preschool nanny, also a temp job, I started to really think about it as a possible career for me. To be completely honest, it was pretty hard at the beginning, after having been mostly unemployed after a very long maternity leave. Suddenly I needed a whole lot more energy than I'd ever used before, after having an office job for 13 years. But the job grew on me, and I started to really enjoy the days at preschool. The kids were amazing, the co-workers were wonderful. Being outdoors a lot was great for my mental health, and the variation of tasks during work days made the job fun and a little bit challenging. It's never boring, even though there are routines in place. I eventually started to study to become an educated nanny on the side of the full-time job, kind of like a high school diploma but for adults, so that I might get a permanent employment. But I unfortunately fell into a depression, and I had to stop the studies after only a couple of weeks. After I got out of the depression, many months later, I thought back and forth what I was going to do to be able to get a permanent position at a preschool or somewhere else. But I really wanted to keep working with kids. I considered going back to the nanny studies, but I wanted something more. Finally, I decided to go back to university to try to get into the preschool teacher program. And I got in! I was so happy, but the thoughts going through my mind were a whole legion of worries and ifs and buts, especially about my age and all my diagnoses. Would I be able to do this? The last time I studied at university, I was in my 20s, and now I was 43. Now I had a little family to take care of, and I knew I needed to work part-time on the side to make ends meet. Would I be able to manage it all? And would my brain function properly after all these years? Or was I simply too old and slow after many bipolar episodes and aging? Despite all the questions, I decided to just go for it. I might be 43 years old, but I need to work at least to 68 to 70 years of age before retirement. And that is many years in the future. I have time for 3.5 years of studies, since I have around 20 more years in the workforce after uni before I retire. So I think my time at university is well spent. And yes, I still want an art career, but I want it on the side of the preschool job, since I am a very social person now that I live in the forest and get a lot of quiet time. My dream occupation would be part-time preschool teacher and part-time artist, the best of both worlds. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but I think one needs to have an aspirational goal. I'm now 3 months into my studies, and it's going really well so far. I got the advice from several people to just go for the approved grade instead of a higher grade to not overwhelm myself. After all, I need a bit of time to work on the side and time for family and house management as well. And this decision to let enough be enough has greatly impacted my life in a positive way. It makes the studies more enjoyable when I don't stress out about getting the highest grade. And I have time for other stuff as well. The first course was really hard to accomplish before I really got into the whole studying thing. But when the next course came around, I had learned some studying tricks, like what to focus on, what to skim through, and what to leave out. And it keeps getting easier. I even got a higher grade on a couple of the examinations, even though I didn't aim for it. My classmates are in general a lot younger than me, but some have kids and are over 30. Everyone has been super nice to me, and I've not felt any negativity about my age. Of course, it's a bit different than when I studied in my 20s. This is a distance program, so we only meet at school a couple of days a month and don't hang out all the time. I don't go to any class parties or anything like that. Nowadays I don't even drink alcohol, and I think that is one of the most important parts for why my studies are going so well now compared to my earlier studies. That and the fact that I take my studies much more seriously at the age of 43 than I did at the age of 23. So even though my mind might not be as sharp now as it was 20 years ago, my improved habits and way of life far outweighs my aging brain. And what about time? How do I manage it all? Well, my child goes to preschool during weekdays, unless he's sick, of course. Then he stays at home with me and sometimes his dad as well, if I have Zoom meetings or examinations. We are living together, by the way, and are engaged to be married. Just a side note. Some days there are not any meetings scheduled, and these days are for self-studies. Some of those days I use for studying, and if I feel I have time, I can use those days for work at some of the preschools around my area. I get paid by the hour, and I only work when someone of the permanent staff are sick or have a day off. During my lunch break at home, I usually go for a walk. And I've also started to get up really early in the morning to get my exercise done before my son wakes up. I actually love it. I feel a lot better both mentally and physically when I've woken up at 5 a.m. and got my workout done before everyone is awake. I'm definitely going to aspire to wake up that early at least 3 times a week and do Amanda Fadul's high-intensity workout as a start of the day. I use the evenings after my son has gone to sleep to work on a piece of art, and I have a YouTube video rolling while I draw. I read in bed as a nice wind-down and fall asleep pretty fast. The studies are done during the weekdays. Sometimes I might study a few hours during the weekends as well, but I try to take at least 1 full day off from studies. I've also started posting YouTube videos and write the scripts during small breaks during the weekdays and sometimes on the weekend. I film on my lunch break when no one is around or out on walks. I edit here and there when I get a moment. My videos are not at all time-consuming. I don't spend as much time on them as I do with my art. So I have 2 creative hobbies, to make art and to make videos. But between 7:30 a.m. and 3 or 4 p.m. on the weekdays, the schoolwork comes first. The other stuff I fit in when I am ahead with my studies, so I can work, take walks, or a short break with hobbies. Safe to say, I love that I made the decision to go back to school. I know in my heart this is the right path for me. I have already learned a lot that I can apply in my extra job as a nanny, and I feel I keep improving at work. The studies have opened my eyes to new ways of working with children, and it's even more enjoyable now that I'm starting to know what I'm doing. Sometimes I'm stressed over the studies, of course, but most of the time I'm kind of on top of things. I'm getting better at scheduling my days and plan my studies, but there are still room for improvement. I have also gotten better habits in general, especially now that I'm doing my own version of the 75 Soft Challenge. And even though I've added some activities in my life, I still manage to get most things done. All things combined is slowly changing my life to the better. And I haven't had a bipolar episode in almost a year, which feels amazing. I don't even worry about it anymore. I want to add, since I'm going to school in Sweden, it's free of charge, and the student loan situation is not as dire as it is in the US, for example. I know I'm privileged to have this opportunity, and I'm very thankful. The financial side of the studies is easier, but I get a very limited amount of money in student loan each month, and I need to work on the side for extra money to bills, foods and stuff. But I also have a partner that helps out a lot, and that is also a privilege. If you are considering going back to school later in life, think about all the variables around you and your eventual study situation. Be prepared and try to save up some extra cash beforehand. Work on the side of the studies if you can. But from a purely emotional point of view, really think about it. Do you want to go back to school? Would you thrive in that environment? Would it be worth your time and effort? And is it doable for you and your family? Try to look away from the age thing. No one cares anyway. Everyone is preoccupied with their own stuff and think of themselves and their families. Just think about the practical side of things and what you want to do. And if you want to, go for it. Until next time, take care. Bye!